Hi pals. We did the past tense in the last session of active and passive voice. Till now we have covered basic conversion rules, the present tense conversion rules, and the past tense conversion rules. In today's session we will be moving further to the future tense. Before we move to the future tense, I want you to have a pen and a notepad to revise the basic conversion rules, and what we did in the last sessions. It is very important to revise what we all know. Through this method, our mind recalls the things that we already know. This is called retention method. So, let us begin. Active voice means that a sentence has a subject that acts upon its verb. Passive voice means that a subject is a recipient of a verb's action. You may have learned that the passive voice is weak and incorrect, but it isn't that simple. When used correctly and in moderation, the passive voice is fine. In English parsing, verbs have 5 properties: voice, mood, tense, person, and number. Here, we are concerned with voice. The 2 grammatical voices are active and passive. Using the active voice conveys a strong, clear tone, and the passive voice is subtler and weaker. Here's some good advice: don't use the passive voice just because you think it sounds a bit fancier than the active voice. That said, there are times the passive voice is useful and called for. Take "the squirrel was chased by the dog" for example. That sentence construction would be helpful if the squirrel were the focus of your writing and not the dog. A good rule of thumb is to try to put the majority of your sentences in the active voice, unless you truly can't write your sentence in any other way. When the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action, we say that the sentence is in the active voice. Sentences in the active voice have a strong, direct, and clear tone. Here are some short and straightforward examples of active voice. Monkeys adore bananas. The cashier counted the money. The dog chased the squirrel. All 3 sentences have a basic active voice construction: subject, verb, and object. The subject monkey performs the action described by adore. The subject the cashier performs the action described by counted. The subject the dog performs the action described by chased. The subjects are doing, they take action in their sentences. The active voice reminds us of the popular Nike slogan, "Just do it." A sentence is in the passive voice, on the other hand, when the subject is acted on by the verb. The passive voice is always constructed with the conjugated form of to be plus the verb's past participle. Doing this usually generates a preposition as well. That sounds much more complicated than it is. Passive voice is actually quite easy to detect. For these examples of passive voice, we will transform the 3 active sentences above to illustrate the difference. Bananas are adored by monkeys. The money was counted by the cashier. The squirrel was chased by the dog. Let's take a closer look at the first pair of sentences: monkeys adore bananas and bananas are adored by monkeys. The active sentence consists of monkeys, subject, plus adore, verb, plus bananas, object. The passive sentence consists of bananas, object, plus are adored, a form of to be plus the past participle adored, plus by, preposition, plus monkeys, subject. Making the sentence passive flipped the structure and necessitated the preposition by. In fact, all 3 of the transformed sentences above required the addition of by. The basic rules of conversion from active voice to passive voice are: convert subject of active voice to by plus agent of passive voice. Convert object of active voice to the subject of passive voice. Change the active verb to be plus participle form of the verb. If you can understand these 3 basic rules, you can change active voice to its passive form in moments. Now that we have discussed what active and passive voice are, and what their uses are, we must now move to the rules of conversion. First of all, let us know the conversion rules of pronouns. The one-line statement for the conversion of pronouns is: change nominative form of pronoun in active voice to objective form in passive voice. That is, I changes to me, he changes to him, she changes to her, they changes to them, we changes to us, you and it remain the same. As we are done with the revision of basic conversion rules of active voice to passive voice, it's time we move to simple future tense. The formula of simple future sentence in active voice is subject plus will plus verb's first form plus object. For example, we shall start this meeting. When we convert it to the passive form, so as per basic conversions, we will interchange the subject and object. Verb will be converted to the third form, and by will be added before the object. Thus, the formula turns to subject plus will be plus verb's third form plus by object. For example, this meeting will be started by us. Now, we have future continuous tense. The future continuous tense has the following format in active voice: subject plus will be plus present participle plus object. For example, she will be applying for a job tomorrow. While we convert it to passive voice, we have to follow the following general formula: subject plus will be being past participle plus by object. So in the passive, the above sentence becomes: a job will be being applied for by her tomorrow. Future perfect and future perfect continuous tenses are not converted to the passive voice. But, we have past future tense. What past future tense means is that we use would instead of will or shall. The general syntax in the active voice is subject plus would plus verb's first form plus object. For example, I would buy a book tomorrow. In the passive form, the syntax changes to subject plus would plus be plus past participle plus by object. For example, a book would be bought by me. Before we conclude this session, please note that these are only assertive sentences. We will be doing all types of sentences in the next session. We have done the tenses which can be converted to passive voice. It is up to you now and your practice. If you have any confusions regarding the topic, you can always watch the video again. Rome was not built in a day. It takes time for expertise. Be safe, keep practicing, and be curious. Thanks.